change my position to be the hit point. Let's see if we can get this to work here. Here we go. Click. Aha. Click. Come over here. Yes, and look at all of those rotating headings, moving back and forth. Now our game is interactive based on just the mouse, and we're in charge. There's no third-person controller, there's no first-person controller, but there is interactivity introduced into our game by translating from one space into another and letting Unity do the hard lifting for us. We don't want to do all of that geometry. Oh my goodness, no. Yeah.
So, say in the first-person controller, you want to find the very middle of your camera. Say that you have like a reticle there. How would you find like the middle point of whatever your camera is looking at?
The middle point in the world?
So your camera is like a rectangle. The middle of that rectangle.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
If you sent a ray, you're like forward.
Well,
Forward direction.
Because I'm assuming your mouse cursor is actually going to be like all over the place when you're moving around. Maybe it's not.
if you're moving in your 3D space, your mouse is controlling the camera. If you look at that script, it says, hey, what's this input position? How far is it? Is it moving back and forth? This is what I want to change my rotation of my person. So yeah, the middle of the camera, I mean, the camera is moving as well, and so the middle is always going to be that same exact point.
Okay, so you just find the point.
You just hard code that point and say this point is in the middle of the camera. I don't know how the dimensions of the camera are created. I'll have to go look that up when the Unity docs come back up, or any other thing. Because it's easier to search Google and say, hey, Unity, camera dimensions created, instead of trying to search through these documents. But it should be just like 0, 0, 0, or some fixed point to say this is the middle of where you are. But this is also how you would be able to say, hey, I want to shoot things. I want to know, did I hit an object or not? I'm clicking right now, and it's finding that I'm hitting the background. I'm hitting this plane, but they don't fall off, no, because they're really attracted to that point. There's those forces in there pushing them.
Are they still locked above the plane?
Oh yeah, they are. They are just floating away. They cannot move. But that hit that comes back from the ray might be an object that you want to destroy, or some place that you want to create an object. You don't have to always find that the hit succeeded. You can say, I want something to show up 2 meters in front of me when I click at a spot. And so you can just pre-program it to say, do something at this location, translate into the world, make something show up in this spot based on the mouse. So this translation thing is really important back and forth. So, did anything happen to the Unity screen yet? No. GGC. All will be revealed. Watch now. Okay, so questions about that? Okay, I've been trying to keep the chat up. Hey, somebody was there. I did not see that message go by. Oh well. I'm trying to get the messages to pop up on my screen. I'll keep working on it. Somehow I'll see the chat, probably on the last day of class. I'll be like, yay, there's a chat. But somehow we'll make that work. Any questions about this? Screen interaction, translating from 2D screen space to 3D world space. Okay. Nope. Okay.
Your stream is starting now.
Yeah, they just started the stream.
Okay. I thought their website would pop up, but maybe it's going to happen like when they push a button on the stream. What they're doing.
Sorry.
Okay.
Person's head. Oh wait, that's late.
Yeah,
Okay. So, last thing I want to talk about is the GUI. Most games, you hit escape, and some kind of GUI shows up, and it pauses the game. I'd like for that to happen, and that would be useful for you as you make some small mini game. So let's run through that quickly. What does it take to make
Unity 5 is here.
Unity 5 is here? Oh, there it is. Unity 5 is ready to download.
Alright, let's do it.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Alright, this server's about to.
Okay. Get Unity 5. And probably all the docs changed to be for Unity 5 instead of our Unity version. So we'll see what happens.
It's like the worst thing.
In the middle of our class.
Are we going to start using Unity 5 or are we going to stay with Unity 4?
I will test it out to see how if it is super drastically different, then no. But if it's like, hey, we got some new features here, we can do more stuff, and there's stuff more in the Pro, I'll be like, yeah, let's do that. Let's switch to Unity 5 just to get you updated. If you want to test it out, you can, but you can always go back to Unity 4. As long as you save that download zip or DMG, you should probably be able to wipe your stuff and put it back. So, yeah, Unity 5. Guys, a little creepy. So, let's not look at that page anymore. There we go.
Their servers are pretty overloaded.
So, I want to hit the escape button and pause my game and be able to do something with a GUI button. I'll show you the basics of how that works. Game object. I want to add a UI piece. UI piece that I want to add is a button. Throw in a button. Lots of stuff got added besides just this button. What else showed up in our hierarchy? A canvas. Every UI element has to be attached to a canvas. Well, you can attach UI elements to other UI elements as long as they're eventually parented to the canvas. So this button here has a text underneath it. So the button gets a transform, but it starts to get us thinking about 2D instead of 3D. We spent all our time in 3D so far. Unity has these tools to make 2D games that says our engine is so much faster because you don't have to worry about the third dimension. You don't have to have turning and slurping things around all the time. You can just do stuff really quickly, and the physics and the math behind it works faster. So there's ways to say, like we have been doing, I want to make a 2D sprite. I want to use 2D physics and all these colliders. You can start doing that if you want to. Not yet. Keep working on the 3D stuff for now, but it sort of gets you in that direction. You're not using a transform anymore. You're using a rect transform, and all these things have rect transforms to tell you where they are. They look slightly different. Let's see what happened. We got this big thing called the button, and it's right there. We can go into the text part and change it. Add more bots is what I want to say. And it's going to show up right down there in the corner. Nothing happens when I click on it. I've got a button. It looks like I'm on it. It visually shows me that I'm clicking on it. And if we look at the button, you can see here the colors that change when it's pressed and highlighted. You can play with those. You can get an image and throw it in there for your button and change that up. I'll let you play with that. It has to be something called a 9 slice. It lets that button really stretch easily. It's an image that's been sliced into 9 pieces. So this is fixed in the corners, but this is ultimately stretchable and remodifiable however you want. So there's ways to put those together, investigate those. But what I want to see is, how do I get this click to do something? How do I get this click to make something happen? So what I want it to do is to add more bots. Obviously, that's why I wrote that in there. Let's see how we can make that happen. Populate script, had this void populate world. let's make that a public function. And then we can say, hey button, what do you do when you get clicked? Nothing. Nothing happens. I want things to happen. The way I make things happen is to go find objects in my world, look at their methods, and throw them into this pile. So when the button is clicked, I want to go find a runtime object. The object I want to go find is called my populator, and it has a function in there in my populator script called populate world. Yes. When the button is clicked, I will now call that function. Add more bots. Add more bots. Add more bots. Yeah, as many as we want.
That's you can also change the target.
Also change the target because I clicked on something that the ray hit. See, I can click over here now because there's an object that gets hit. I can't click over here because it doesn't hit a physical collider out there. But I can click here now and here because I'm hitting some object with my ray. Does that make sense? Add more bots. Voila. You can check how well your game is working by looking at the stats. I'm down to 79 frames per second. Before it was up in the 150s, so this is getting slower. More bots. Why not?
Oh yeah.
Now we've got the 20 frames per second.
Turn on that cinematic feel.
Yes.
Turn on VSync, you'll have like 8,000.
VSync.
It just might not work.
That's no.
Don't do VSync.
Yeah,
I will ignore you. Okay, I'm hearing a resounding ignore Connor right now. So, okay, so that's what we can do with a button. I really want that button to only show up when I hit escape. I don't want to see this button on the screen all the time. You could add your GUI and have things that you can click on all the time, but this one, in my mind, should only show up when I pause the game. So how can I get the game to pause? What is it going to take to make this game pause?
Stop the game loop.
I need to stop the game loop somehow. We don't have control over that. It just happens.
You tell the scripts or the objects to pause.
We're going to have to do both of these things. We're going to have to tell each object, hey, inside your update, you've got a flag that says if you're paused or not. So don't do your things. And we can talk to the clock and say time is meaningless. It will still update and do stuff, but the clock won't tick. Those two things we can add in to pause things. And I think we need both. I've tried this a couple times. We need both of them because of what we're doing with our steering behaviors and forces. The forces don't really stop accumulating as we do it. So let me see if I can demonstrate that quickly. So I need a new empty game object. The pauser. Create a C# script. The pause script. Don't forget, throw it on the pauser. And we want to pause things. This pauser needs to know where the menu is because I want the menu to be appearing and disappearing on the screen. So let's go ahead and just make that connection now so I don't forget. But the canvas is the thing that I want to make appear and disappear. Okay, I need to know what's going on